Yo! So today we're gonna have to get this Wurlitzer ready for the gig. It's gone a little bit out of tune, and I'm bringing another board in a way that I don't usually. So we gotta reset all the pedals. So let's do that. So usually my DX lives on top of the CP70, but because of this gig that we're doing at the pageant at the Halo Bar, we're not gonna have a lot of room. So I'm going to be just bringing the Wurlitzer as my EP and the DX on top of that. Now I usually keep this on top of the Wurlitzer. It's a reverb unit. And I usually keep the power supply stuck to the side with some Velcro. So we're just going to redo that. And we need to make a board that keeps everything nice and gives us room for the reverb and chorus. So let's get the board out. Alright, so a little fast and loose, but it looks good. I just tape everything down, it's nice and flat. And if you have any cables like dangling and stuff, it doesn't get caught up. Looking good though. So, a bit of a mess down here, but we've got our Wurlitzer sustain pedal. Usually we're taping this down. I want to prioritize where this goes so that it feels good. So that's kind of the important one for me. I'm thinking I'll do this right here, and then maybe on the gig I'll push it forward more so I got room to tap my feet and stuff without turning the effects on and off. And then I'll probably tape this down separate. So I think as it stands, this is good. This will totally work. So we're all plugged in. This is the Wurlitzer. Yeah, so I mean it's sounding pretty good. I just want to check the tuning. Now usually as far as like tuning goes, I really don't tune it that often. A lot of people are scared to tune these because it can involve a soldering iron, but it's really like the concept is super simple. Like there's just tines in there, or reeds in this case, and they have little dabs of solder, and those dabs adjust the pitch. But you can actually fine tune the pitch by tightening them or loosening them a little bit, like giving them a little extra torque on the screws that hold the reed down. We'll get a closer look at that, but I'm starting to feel like I'm a little out of tune. Like I've been noticing in like the last couple jams that like it's starting to drift a little bit, so I'm just gonna touch it up. We could endlessly dive on the Wurlitzer. I mean, the good thing about a physical piece of equipment is that if anything breaks in here, as long as you have the bones, I mean, if it came down to whittling a new key out of a stick, you know, we could do it. It would just take forever. But there's all kinds of upgrades. Like this one already has an aftermarket amplifier inside of it. Like it's new parts to the same tolerances, just for a little more reliability. I don't think it affected the sound at all. It's a lot cleaner. We've also got an upgrade on here. We can change the speed of the vibrato, so that's pretty cool too. But there's always something you can hunt down. You know, we could always lower the noise floor. We can always adjust the individual sounds, like each key. You know, there's definitely some inconsistencies that I've frankly just been too lazy to fix so far. I mean, it just still sounds fucking great, you know. But we're gonna go ahead and tune it real quick. Let's do that. Okay. All right. So we're gonna tune our Wurlitzer. How do we do that? First, we're gonna need a couple tools. You're gonna need a flathead, Phillips head, a file, some sockets, and a soldering iron, possibly. The first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna take your Phillips head and take these 3 screws out along the bottom, right there. Not all of my little rings came out, but they have little flanged rings on them. And then we're gonna go to the top and take these 2 screws out here. So we got those out. We're gonna set those aside and pull our knobs off. Set them aside, and then we're gonna just shimmy this out. You kind of gotta be careful not to yank stuff. It'll come out kind of on its own. And then make sure the power is disconnected. It will be live right here, 120. Bad time. Luckily we have already done that, so we're gonna hit this plug over here all the way on the left. Orange and black cables for me. This is our speakers to the top, so then we can free the lid without breaking anything. So I'm gonna shimmy it towards me a little bit, lift the hinge, and get her out of there. So there we go, lid's removed. This one had a nice little schematic in it, just kind of neat. So we'll set that off to the side. And now we're gonna deal with the shield, and I am gonna move you to be nearer to me. So you may notice some different colors than what is inside of yours. This is an aftermarket amp and an aftermarket transformer. I've just been steadily upgrading this to make it nice. Now this shield, the trick with taking this off is when you put it back on, you want it at the right height so that none of your keys are whacking it. But you can shimmy it up and down. It's just kind of a pain in the ass, but it's not that bad. So we'll just hit the screws, our ground there, off to the side, middle here. Be careful not to touch anything on the board in case the capacitors are still energized. You do not want that in your life. We don't have a screw here. Just make note of any ground wires that are disconnected. Our last one is over here. And now this is a good time to get a good look at everything that's going on in here. It's a good time for us to pay attention to our dampers. We're gonna go ahead and get you a little closer even than that, so we can really see what's going on in here. So at least from the front here, if we zoom in just a tidbit, these arms lift dampers and set them back down, as you can see. Some of them are a little wonky, like that guy is a little funky looking. It's kind of bent over like that. So I'm probably going to need to replace these soon. They're pretty beat. Some of them do not stop the sound really well. But it's doing good enough, I think, for one more gig. Now, what we're going to be doing today, we're not going to be working on regulation or anything, but you can set all of that with these various screws, controls in here. But what we're going to be focusing on is these reeds. So as you can see, a reed is just a square bit with a screw, and then a really long piece of steel with a little bit of solder on the end. And that weight of solder determines the pitch as well as the tightness of the screw. So I'm just going to take a moment to explain what's going on here. This metal piece that these reeds sit in between, you'll notice there's like a millimeter of space between this aluminum comb and the reed that sits in there. Now that comb is what amplifies the signal from this reed. So what I like to do is we'll check everything for pitch, and if it's just slightly out, we'll see if we can correct with a little loosening or a little tightening. Within reason, like we don't want it like jangling, like too loose, but within reason we can adjust it a little bit. And then the only thing that's kind of a real pain in the ass here is juggling, keeping these up and out of the way, and keeping the reed in the right spot. But I've kind of found that like pushing it down lightly, just bending it down a little tiny bit, like putting torque on it, kind of helps keep it in the same spot while you tighten it down. But we're going to go get a ratchet, and we're going to plug in our strobe tuner, and we're going to go ahead and give it a go. Okay, so we've plugged the Wurlitzer in. We've got a strobe tuner plugged into it. We've turned the Wurlitzer on. Be very careful not to shock yourself. You know, it will be hot right here. Be careful. And then we have a 5/16 socket. And what we're going to do is just start at the bottom and work our way up. So let's see, A, dead on. A sharp, B flat. It's maybe a little flat. It's really marginal, but we'll try tightening a little bit. So as you can see, torquing it is the ticket. I'd consider that right on. B could use a little tighten up. We do want to be careful that we're keeping these centered in the combs. So when you're tightening them, it can help if we take the pencil, prop that up a little bit, and we can apply a little pressure and tighten. Don't want to overdo it. See, even that though, a very light amount of tension will dramatically affect the tuning. That's good. I'll call that good. C, we're flat. Tighten, making sure that we're not moving it so it touches the combs. You'll know though, it'll buzz pretty bad. We might not even have to demonstrate the soldering, really, but we're kind of approaching where I'm comfortable tightening to. Nice, dead on. So we're just going to work through the whole piano like that. For the sake of the video, I almost hope that we have to do a solder one, but it's really overstated how difficult this is. I mean, this is it, you know. So we're just going to move up, and we'll get back to you. It's pretty amazing how much room you have to tighten these. I mean, I'm really staying pretty close to just hand tight. You know, I'm really not putting a whole lot of torque on anything. Just very evenly and slowly inching it up. These dampers aren't quite as bad as I made them up to be. I think these are These may be original or at least very old, though, because they're the ones they came with. And I haven't had to change them yet. But I know once I changed them out on my roads, it made a huge difference. It was really nice. So I really need to just fork the time over and do it. The great thing about this kind of thing, though, is I really don't have to do this frequently. Like, it's definitely not every gig. That's for sure. I mean, I'll go... I'd say like every 3 or 4 months. Every 3 or 4 months usually is when I have to do it. But I use it a lot. I mean, every gig pretty much that I'm not bringing another board, I'm bringing this one. And you may have already noticed I don't have any ugly red Swedish bricks lying around. We're hauling the big boy out to every one of them. So I can personally attest to the reliability of the Wurlitzer. This thing is a fucking horse. And that's it. Right on, we're in tune. We're gonna get our RF shield here, and we're going to place it on top. There's these 2 bolts you can kind of line up with. Be careful not to pinch this cable here. It, you know, goes to your amp and all that. Okay. And like I said earlier, the trick is to make sure that that's not happening. And pretty much the trick for me is it's kind of bent and fucked up looking right where the screws were originally, and I just follow those marks to start. I'm gonna not tighten it all the way, just tack it in. I'm gonna get the other side. Don't forget our ground wire. Gonna make sure that's back on the screw. Kind of get that ish where it goes. This one with the ground screw goes here. Yeah, so just make sure we're not whacking it. And we are not. Good to err on the safe side. And then I'm going to kind of torque them down a little bit. Just get them nice and hand tight. So there's that. Make sure we didn't leave anything inside. We take the lid. And we get the cord out of the way. Line up the hinges on the open bits. Plug our cord in for the speakers, and then making sure that we don't pinch any cables, we put it back together, shimmy it on, just like that. Make sure nothing is pinched. Then I'm going to take the top screws, get the washer on them. Not too tight. Knobs. Everything just hand tight. Alright, and here's the rig all put together.